What if I told you that the person you become when you close your eyes at night is more real than the person you believe you are when you wake up in the morning? What if every dream you've ever had wasn't just a fantasy, but a postcard from a life you are actually living right now, in a universe parallel to our own? This idea might sound like science fiction, but as we peel back the layers of both ancient wisdom and modern physics, we find ourselves standing at the precipice of a reality far stranger and more magnificent than we could ever imagine. Tonight, we journey into the heart of the dream world, not as a landscape of the subconscious, but as a gateway to the infinite. Our journey begins with a question that has haunted humanity since the dawn of consciousness. What are dreams? We've all been there, jolted awake from a dream so vivid, so emotionally charged, that the boundaries between that world and this one feel porous and uncertain. For a few lingering moments, the grief for a lost dream loved one is real grief. The joy of flight is a real memory, and the terror of a shadowy pursuer leaves our heart pounding in the quiet of our bedroom. Modern neuroscience offers a seemingly straightforward explanation. It tells us that dreaming is a product of our brain's activity, primarily during rapid eye movement REM sleep. During this phase, the brainstem releases signals that activate higher cortical areas, which stitch together memories, emotions, and fragments of our waking life into bizarre and often illogical narratives. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of our logic and reason, takes a back seat, which is why we so readily accept the strange physics and disjointed plots of our dreams. In essence, science tells us that dreams are a form of neurological housekeeping, the brain's way of consolidating memories, processing emotions, and pruning unnecessary neural connections. But does this explanation, as neat as it is, truly satisfy the profound experience of dreaming? Does it account for the sheer, overwhelming realism of these inner worlds? For centuries, our ancestors didn't think so. Long before the advent of EEGs and brain scans, ancient cultures across the globe independently arrived at a strikingly similar conclusion. Dreams were not brain noise, but sacred journeys. In ancient Egypt, dreams were considered divine messages, a direct line of communication with the gods. They built dream temples, where seekers would sleep, hoping for guidance or healing from the deities who visited them in their slumber. The ancient Greeks held similar beliefs, viewing dreams as prophecies and warnings delivered by figures like Morpheus, the god of dreams. Indigenous cultures, such as the Australian Aborigines, speak of the dream time, a timeless, spiritual realm that is not just a part of life, but the very foundation of it. To them, the dream world is just as real, if not more so, than the waking one. This creates a fascinating conflict. On one hand, we have the scientific framework of the brain, as a self-contained generator of internal simulations. On the other, we have the persistent, cross-cultural human experience of the dream as a place we visit, a portal through which the soul or consciousness travels to other planes of existence. This fundamental mystery, this gap between neurological explanation and lived experience, is where our exploration truly begins. What if both are true? What if the brain's activity isn't creating the dream, but rather tuning into it? To explore this tantalizing possibility, we must take a detour from the familiar landscapes of neuroscience and venture into the strange and counterintuitive world of modern physics. Here, in the realm of the infinitesimally small, the rules of reality as we know them begin to break down. This brings us to one of the most staggering and mind-bending ideas ever conceived: the many-worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. This theory emerged from the unsettling nature of the quantum realm. At this level, particles don't exist in one definite state, but as a haze of probabilities, a superposition of every possible state at once. The famous thought experiment, Schrödinger's cat, was designed to illustrate this bizarre principle. In it, A cat is placed in a sealed box with a radioactive atom that has a 50/50th chance of decaying within an hour. If it decays, it triggers a mechanism that releases poison, and the cat dies. If it doesn't, the cat lives. Quantum mechanics suggests that until the box is opened and the system is observed, the atom is in a superposition of both decayed and not decayed. By extension, the cat is considered to be both alive and dead simultaneously. The many worlds interpretation offers a breathtaking solution to this paradox. It proposes that the moment an observation is made, the universe itself splits. In one universe, the atom decays, and the cat dies. In another, the atom doesn't decay, and the cat lives. Every quantum event, every choice, every possibility, branches off into a new, parallel universe. Think of it like an infinitely complex, choose-your-own-adventure story. That time, you hesitated at a crossroads, wondering whether to turn left or right. In one universe, you turned left. In another, you turned right. There are countless versions of you living out every choice you ever could have made, creating an infinite tapestry of alternate realities. In one, you pursued that art degree. In another, you married your high school sweetheart. In yet another, you never existed at all. This theory provides a scientific, albeit highly speculative, framework where other worlds are not the stuff of fantasy, but a physical and mathematical possibility. It suggests we are just one thread in an unimaginably vast multiversal quilt. If these infinite parallel worlds do exist, stacked alongside our own like pages in a cosmic book, the question then becomes, how could we ever possibly access them? The answer might be lying dormant within our skulls, activating every single night. The central hypothesis of our journey is this. The dreaming brain acts as a kind of quantum receiver. Think of your waking consciousness as a high-powered radio, finely tuned to a single, powerful frequency. Let's call it Reality FM. This is the frequency of our immediate, physical world. Our survival depends on being locked onto this station. We need to be focused on the car, speeding towards us, the demands of our job, the sensory data of this specific reality. This focus is maintained by filters in our brain, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, which governs logic, reason, and self-awareness. But what happens when we fall asleep? The conscious, filtering mind begins to power down. As we enter the deep state of REM sleep, that prefrontal cortex becomes significantly less active. Simultaneously, other parts of the brain, the amygdala, our emotional center, and the hippocampus, our memory hub, light up like a Christmas tree. In this altered state of consciousness, the rigid filter that locks us to Reality FM loosens. The receiver is now free to scan the dial. In this state, our mind might be able to tune into the faint, overlapping signals of other realities, other universes. This could explain phenomena that simple neurological models struggle to account for. Take, for instance, the recurring and well-documented anecdotes of people dreaming of places they've never been, only to later discover that such a place exists with verifiable accuracy. Or consider the perplexing nature of precognitive dreams that seem to offer a glimpse of a future event. One of the most famous examples is Abraham Lincoln, who reportedly dreamt of his own assassination just days before it happened. He dreamt he was in the White House and heard sounds of mourning. When he asked a guard who had died, the guard replied, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." While skeptics might dismiss this as coincidence or a mind preoccupied with the dangers of his position, this theory offers another possibility. Perhaps Lincoln's dreaming brain, in its receiver-like state, momentarily tuned into a timeline just a few days ahead of his ONA parallel universe, where the event had already transpired. The dream wasn't a prediction. It was a reception of a reality that had already happened, just not our reality yet. The strangeness of dreams isn't confined to their content. It extends to the very fabric of time and space. How many of us have had a dream that felt as though it spanned days, weeks, or even an entire lifetime? Only to wake up and realize that a mere 15 minutes have passed on our bedside clock. This radical compression and elasticity of time in the dream state is a universal experience, yet it fundamentally challenges our linear waking perception of time as a constant, forward-marching arrow. This temporal distortion makes little sense if dreams are merely replays of our memories. But if our consciousness is actually visiting another timeline in a parallel universe, one that operates at a different pace or frequency, it would make perfect sense. Just as a movie can be played in fast-forward or slow motion, perhaps each parallel reality has its own unique temporal flow. When our consciousness tunes in during a dream, we experience time as it is perceived in that reality. A minute of our sleep could correspond to a year in another universe, allowing for the experience of an entire lifetime in a single night. This idea, as wild as it sounds, finds intriguing parallels in theoretical physics. Concepts like the holographic principle propose that our three-dimensional reality might be a projection of information, encoded on a two-dimensional surface, much like a hologram. If our universe is a projection, it stands to reason that there could be other, coexisting projections. Dreams, in this context, could be fleeting glimpses of these other holographic realities, each with its own set of physical laws and its own unique flow of time. They are moments where our consciousness slips behind the curtain of our own projected reality and witnesses the source code of another. Perhaps the most profound and deeply personal evidence for this theory lies in how our own identity shifts and transforms within our dreams. We are not always ourselves. Have you ever dreamt you were a different gender? A different age? A soldier fighting in a war centuries ago? Or an explorer on a distant planet? In these dreams, we often possess skills and knowledge we don't have in waking life. And most importantly, we have memories that are not our own. These experiences feel emotionally authentic and coherent within the dream's context. The memories of a dream childhood, the love for a dream spouse, the professional knowledge of a dream career, they all feel completely genuine. Mainstream psychology might label these as mere inventions of a creative subconscious, a collage of books we've read and movies we've seen. But this explanation often falls short of the profound emotional weight these experiences carry. The parallel universe hypothesis offers a more compelling explanation. What if, instead of inventing these alternate selves, your consciousness is temporarily merging with them? What if you are briefly tapping into the consciousness of an alternate you in another universe? In that reality, you are that soldier, you are that explorer, and those memories are your own. The dream is a temporary bridge, an overlap of consciousness between two parallel lives. This could explain the powerful emotional bleed-through we often feel upon waking. The deep, lingering grief for a dream family that was lost. A family that never existed in this reality. The intense longing for a dream home we've never seen with our waking eyes. The bittersweet nostalgia for a life we never lived. These powerful emotional residues may not be phantom feelings generated by our brain. They may be the genuine emotional wake from a life that is truly being lived, right now, by another version of you. Your dream was a brief window, and the emotions are the afterglow of that connection. In our dreams, we are rarely alone. We encounter a cast of characters who often feel entirely independent, possessing their own thoughts, personalities, and secrets. They surprise us, they teach us, they challenge us, and they reveal information that we didn't consciously know. The idea that these are all just facets of our own psyche anima the shadow, the inner child, is a cornerstone of Jungian psychology. But does it fully capture the experience of interacting with a dream character who feels utterly external to our own mind? If dreams are portals to other realities, then these figures may not be projections of our subconscious at all. They may be the actual inhabitants of those other worlds. In this framework, when you enter a dream, you are the visitor, the anomaly in their reality. They are going about their lives, and you have momentarily appeared in their world. This reframes every dream encounter, from a monologue with the self to a potential dialogue with another consciousness. Furthermore, we must consider the rare but compelling phenomenon of shared dreams. These are documented cases where two or more people, often sleeping in different locations, report visiting the same dreamscape and interacting with one another. They wake up and can corroborate specific, often unusual, details of the dream environment and their shared actions. For example, two friends might dream of walking on a beach with purple sand and discussing a specific topic, only to call each other in the morning and recount the exact same bizarre details. If dreams are purely private mental constructs, generated solely within the confines of an individual's brain, shared dreaming should be an impossibility. However, if these dreamscapes are objective, shared dimensions, actual places in parallel universes, then it is perfectly plausible that multiple consciousnesses, or receivers, could tune into the same frequency and access the same reality simultaneously. These shared dimensions aren't just in our heads. They are places we can collectively visit. This connection between dreams and parallel universes is not purely theoretical or philosophical. It may have a tangible, world-changing impact on our reality. History is filled with astonishing examples of groundbreaking discoveries, revolutionary inventions, and timeless works of art that were delivered, fully formed, in dreams. Consider Auguste Kekule, the 19th-century chemist, who struggled for years to understand the molecular structure of benzene. One evening, exhausted, he dozed off and dreamt of atoms dancing and forming long chains. Suddenly, one of the chains formed a snake that seized its own tail, creating a closed loop. He awoke with a start, realizing the answer. The benzene molecule was a ring. This dream didn't just solve a puzzle. It laid the foundation for modern organic chemistry. Think of Paul McCartney, who woke up one morning with a beautiful, complete melody in his head. He rushed to a piano to play it, convinced he must have heard it somewhere before. For weeks, he played it for friends and colleagues, asking if they recognized it. No one did. The melody, which came to him in a dream, became the song Yesterday, one of the most recorded and beloved songs of all time. Or consider Mary Shelley, who, during a stormy night on the shores of Lake Geneva, had a waking dream of a pale student kneeling beside a grotesque creature he had brought to life. This terrifying vision became the seed for her novel Frankenstein, a cornerstone of both the horror and science fiction genres. From the structure of the atom to Elias Howe's invention of the sewing machine, the list goes on. The conventional explanation is that the dreaming mind is simply reorganizing information and making novel connections. But what if something more profound is happening? Perhaps creativity is not an act of invention from nothing, but an act of transmission. What if these dreamers were momentarily tuning into a parallel universe where these solutions, these songs, and these stories already existed? In this view, the dreamer acts as a conduit, a channel, bringing knowledge and art from one reality into our own. Ultimately, this exploration of dreams forces us to confront the staggering possibility that reality is far vaster, stranger, and more interconnected than our waking minds perceive. The tidy boundaries we draw between self and other, between here and there, and between this life and other possibilities, all begin to dissolve in the surreal landscapes of the dream world. These nightly experiences suggest that consciousness is not merely a byproduct of the brain, an accidental spark in a complex machine. Instead, they hint that consciousness might be a fundamental aspect of the universe itself, capable of navigating a multiverse of infinite potential. The brain may not be the generator of consciousness, but rather the receiver, the biological instrument through which consciousness experiences a specific reality. Each night, as we close our eyes, we may be doing more than just resting our bodies and minds. We may be stepping onto a cosmic frontier, embarking on an exploration of what it means to be. Our dreams are a nightly reminder that we are not a single, isolated self, trapped in one linear timeline. We are a part of an immense interconnected web of existence, a multiversal being with countless expressions across infinite realities. So, what is the lesson in all of this? The advice drawn from this journey is simple yet profound. Pay attention to your dreams. Don't dismiss them as meaningless brain noise. Start a dream journal. When you wake, before the details fade, write down everything you can remember. Pay attention to the places you visit, the people you meet, and most importantly, who you are in those dreams. Are you learning a skill? Are you living a different life? Are you receiving an idea? Your dreams are not just escapes from reality. They may be doorways to a larger one. They can be a source of incredible insight, boundless creativity, and a deeper understanding of your own multifaceted nature. By honoring your dreams, you are acknowledging the vast, mysterious, and infinite potential that resides within you. I want to leave you with a few questions to ponder. What is the most vivid dream you've ever had that you still can't explain? Have you ever met someone in a dream who felt more real than a waking person? Or have you ever woken with an idea or a solution that seemed to come from nowhere? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's explore this profound mystery together. If this exploration has expanded your sense of what's possible, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell for more journeys into the great unknowns.